Hello, everybody. This is Mr. Lyles, your sixth grade geography teacher, and this video will represent the study guide for the semester exam. It is your responsibility to review this daily. We have 100 questions. I'm going to go through these fast, but it's your responsibility to review these questions daily. I will put this on uh, teacher YouTube channel for you to be able to look at your convenience. So, nevertheless, allow me to share my screen and let's go through this quickly. All right. First question is how much water covers the earth? We talked about this several times. Should be a no-brainer. We know that that is 70%. The total amount of water on earth does not change. Is that true or false? That is true. It does not change. Water going from the oceans to the air to the ground and to the and back to the oceans is called the what? It is called the water cycle. As warm air rises higher in the atmosphere, it cools. Rain, snow, sleet, or hail are forms of precipitation. Precipitation. Remember the CIP, the SIP part, where SIP is actually spelled with an S, but still it pronounced SIP. You can sip these liquid forms, most of them once they melt or whatever, but you understand the idea. But that's how I remember this when I was coming up. Precipitation, not participation rather, but precipitation. About 22% of the water on Earth is fresh water. We know this is false. Only 2% of the water on Earth is fresh water. A vital source of water comes from groundwater. Groundwater. A way of life of people who share similar beliefs and customs is called what? We know that is called culture. A group of people who share common history, language, religion, and even physical characteristics is known as an ethnic group. Ethnic group. A group of people who control most of the wealth and power is the majority group. That is true. What are the largest ethnic groups in the United States? It is African and Hispanic Americans are the largest ethnic groups in the United States. Differences in dialect may include two things. It may include the pronunciation and what? The meaning of the words. Religion is not, keyword being not, an important part of culture. Is that true or false? That is false. Religion is a very important part of culture. History shapes how we view the world. So does the past shape how we see the world today? That is true. A limited government where powers rest with the power of the people of that nation is called what? So power to the people. People have a say so in the government nation which they live in. That is a what? That is a democracy. Remember, a monarchy is run by a king or a queen, and a dictatorship is a government where one person has absolute power and rule. To stay in power, most dictatorships rely on the police and military. Highly developed cultures are called what? Civilizations. Why has the world's population grown so fast in the past 200 years? Because the death rate has gone down. An increase in the number of people means less food is needed. So more people, that means less food is needed. Is that true or false? That is false. A lack of food is known as a what? Remember, a feast is a lot of food, plenty of it. But a lack of food is a famine. A famine. The world's people live on a large portion of the earth. The world's people live on a relatively large portion of the earth. Is that true or false? That is false. The world's people relatively live on a small portion of the earth. What is the most common reason people move to cities? That's for jobs. To leave a country where they are born and move to another is defined as immigration. migration. Is that true or false? That is true. Products of the earth that people use to meet their needs are called what? Things from the earth that people use to meet their needs are called what? Natural resources. Renewable resources cannot be used up or they can be replaced naturally. A renewable resource is a resource that cannot be used up and can be replaced naturally. Is that a true statement or a false statement? That is true. Energy generated by falling water is known as what? A lot of people miss this. It is not water wave. Don't think because you see water in the sentence that it's all about water in the answer. No, it is hydroelectric power. Hydro is a term for water. Hydroelectric power. One major non-renewable source of energy is fossil fuels, coal, oil, and what? And it is actually natural gas. Resources are like people, and they are evenly distributed around the world. So are resources and people evenly distributed around the world? That is false. That's why we have big imports and exports. Tax added to the price of goods that are imported, which are brought in. So goods that are brought into your country, you add a tax to that. That's called what? It's called a tariff. A tariff. Governments around the world are not, keyword being not, they are not moving towards free trade. That is false. Governments around the world are moving towards free trade. Countries with a great deal of manufacturing are called developed countries. Developed countries. When countries export goods, they ship them out or do they ship them in? They actually ship them out. What is a quota? Remember, a quota is a number limit. All continents on the earth are part of a huge continuous body of salt water. The continents, the big old land masses, which there are 7, and you need to know that for the test. So as the question is asking you, all the land masses on Earth are part of a huge continuous body of salt water. That is false. All the oceans on the Earth are a huge continuous body of salt water. Atlantic Ocean is the largest and deepest. That is false. It is the Pacific. Underground rock layers, aquifer. Water that fills tiny cracks and holes in rock layers below the Earth's surface. What is that? Groundwater. What refers to unpredictable change in the air that takes place over a short period of time? Short period, minute by minute. We're talking about the weather. The weather. Climate is affected by the angle at which the sun rays hit the earth. Is that true or false? Is climate affected by the angle at which the sun rays hit the earth? That is a true statement. What are tremendous seasonal winds that blow over continents for months at a time? Monsoons. Monsoons. El Nino, La Nina are types of winds in the Pacific. Is that true or false? What are patterns of wind caused by landforms in a particular area? Patterns of wind caused by landforms in a particular area, that is local winds. Let me go back. I think I did not. Yes, El Nino, La Nina are types of winds in the Pacific. That is true. I wasn't sure if I gave the answer to that. All right. Okay, with local winds. The higher the elevation, the higher going up, the further up you go of a particular place, the lower the temperature the place will have. Is that true or false? That is true. Remember, in high mountains, the air becomes thinner and cannot hold as much heat from the sun. So that is true. The higher up you go, the lower the temperature. When temperature is low, we're talking about cold. And so the colder the place would be. So that statement is true. Even in the tropics, snow does not cover the peaks of high mountains. This has to be false because we know the higher up we go, the colder it gets. Without this, the earth would be too cold for most living things. The greenhouse effect. Along the equator, dense forests called blank receive high amounts of rain each year. That's rainforest. Clearing the forest to remove the forest will be good for the world's climate. Is that true or is that false? That is false. Some clear forests by burning them down. The burning releases more gases into the air. So if we were to take them all out, it would not benefit the world's climate. Disaster that resulted from a combination of temperature, wind, and water effects in the Pacific. What is that? That is the El Nino. Carries warm or cool water through the world's ocean. This carries warm or cool water through the world's ocean. We're talking about a current. A current. We are halfway there, halfway there. A long period of extreme dryness is called a what? We're talking about dry, so it can be a rain shadow. And we've already given the definition for weather. What weather is, we're talking about a drought. A drought. Predictable pattern of weather in an area over a long period of time. Now, we've already talked about what weather is. We've already talked about greenhouse effect. So just by process of elimination, we know that that is climate. The weather pattern over a long period of time. Weather is minute by minute. Climate is a long period of time. A dry area on the side of the mountains facing away from the wind is the rain shadow. Rain shadow. Climate and vegetation do not go together. So the weather and the trees and plants and all that stuff like that, they don't have a say so in each other. They don't go together. It does not affect one another. This answer is false. They do. Climate and vegetation do go together. How many major groups does the world have? I don't like this question, so disregard. But there are 5. Tropical rainforests receive up to what? 100 inches of rain per year. What is a canopy? We're talking about a forest. A canopy. Is it the top layer, bottom layer, or the middle of the forest? We know it's the top layer. Mid-latitude climates are called such because they are in the middle of the northern and southern hemispheres. The driest climates receive less than 5 inches of rainfall per year. Is that true or false? That is false. It is less than 10 inches of rain per year, according to our textbook. Air pollution includes water particles such as ash and what? Dust. Global warming, ozone depletion, and acid rain are effects of what? Air pollution. Chemicals in the air never, and that's in all caps, they never combine with precipitation. That is false. That's how you can get the acid rain. Which of the following is not mined from the earth? Dug. Okay. Talking about what is not dug from the earth, talking about mined. Okay. And that is battery acid. Cutting down forests without replanting is another way topsoil is gained. So if you're going to cut down the trees, don't replant, are we going to get topsoil? Okay. And that is false. It's a way that is lost. Fertilizers are used by farmers to enrich what? Topsoil. What is the second step in managing water supply? And that's avoiding pollution. Avoiding pollution. Human population increasing and expanding communities invade ecosystems. So when humans expand their communities, they're going to go out further and further and further. Do they eventually reach the ecosystems? And that is true. Careful use of resources so they are not wasted is called what? Irrigation is running water to and from. Crop rotation is the rotating, moving crops around. We're talking about conservation. Conservation, we're conserving, we're using it wisely, using it smart, and not abusing what we have. Careful not to be wasteful. So this is called conservation. Practice of running water and distributing it to their crops, I just talked about that, is irrigation. Running water to your crops, irrigation. Cutting down trees without replacing them is deforestation. Deforestation. Powerful chemicals that kill crop destroying insects. Pesticides. Pesticides. We're getting there. Changing what is planted in the field is crop rotation. Plants and animals are dependent on one another, their surroundings for their survival. They live in a ecosystem. 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 Chemicals in air combined with precipitation. I think this is a repeat question with acid rain. Mount Etna is located in Italy. All right. Individual features of land are known as landforms. Human characteristics is not. Geographers do not study human characteristics. Is that true or false? That is false. They do study human characteristics. GPS stands for Global Positioning System. Global Positioning System. Every planet travels its own path, or it does what? It orbits. The Earth is about 93,000 miles away from the sun. We know that that is 93 million miles away from the sun. An imaginary line that runs through Earth's center between the North and South Pole is called the axis. February 29th comes every 6 years. We know February 29th comes every 4 years. I never did fix that. The correct answer is false. February 29th comes every 4 years. Matter of fact, let me just take the time. Oh, that's what I did. I remember now. Yep. Fake news. It is actually every 4 years. I tricked myself on that one. An equinox is spring and autumn begin their tilts midway between summer and winter. Yes, Chevy does make a car called Equinox. That is not in our textbook. That is not what we're talking about. And an eel and a fox is just nonsense. Mountains are huge towers of rock formed by the collision of Earth's tectonic plates or by what? Remember, that's volcanoes. Plateaus are flat but have higher elevations. Is that true or false? That is true. About 80% of the Earth's surface is water. This is false. We know it is 70%. Between the tip of South America and an island called Tierra del Fuego, you can find the Strait of Magellan. What continent do we live on? Continent, you should know. Please do not say the United States of America. That is not a continent, that is a country. Okay? We live on North America. What two continents are completely surrounded by water? One is very cold, one is very small. Australia and Antarctica. What continent giving us pizza, pasta, and fries, which we all love? We know that's Europe. What continent is the warmest of all? Africa. That's also the second biggest. Get very close. About 9 more slides, give or take. How can we remember the 5 themes of geography? Mr. Help. Movement, region, human, environment, interaction, location, and place. Again, movement, region, human, environment, interaction, location, and place. Mr. Help. What continent has almost no human life other than scientific research? Because it is too cold, and that is at the very bottom there, the continent of Antarctica. What is absolute location? Absolute. That means what? Tells you exactly where a place is at. Exactly. What does the P in Mr. Help stand for? We talked about that. Everyone should say place. Place. Which ocean is the largest and deepest? The Pacific Ocean. Penguins are insecure and sad is a way to remember what? It is not the seven continents, but it's a way to remember the five oceans of the world. The Mariana Trench is located in which ocean? The Pacific Ocean. What country do we live in? Now you can say the United States of America. What ocean is the warmest? The warmest ocean of all? The Indian Ocean. This ocean is cold with icy water surrounding Antarctica, the Southern Ocean. Explain the difference between weather and climate. We've kind of already did that. Weather is minute by minute. Climate is the patterns of weather of a particular area over a long period of time. And that is it. That is it. Let's see. I'm not sure how many minutes we are in this video, but not too bad. Once again, it is your responsibility to watch this once a day. I don't think we've been on here 15 minutes, or maybe give or take a little bit, but watch this once a day and pay attention to class, and you will do just fine on the semester exam. Study hard. Wish you all the best of luck. This is Mr. Lyles. I am signing off.